Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something, well, it seems simple, right?
Mm,
Perfect aim with your irons. But, for so many golfers, it's a constant source of frustration.
absolutely. It
Yeah.
looks straightforward, point and shoot, but there's often this disconnect,
Right.
a big one.
Right. Between what we see and what's actually happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our mission today in this deep dive is to really dig into some great insights from a source we found. We want to cut through that noise, all the conflicting advice out there,
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
and give you some really practical techniques. The goal is maybe a shortcut to get you hitting your irons more accurately.
And hopefully avoid that feeling of being totally overwhelmed.
We're aiming for those aha
Mm.
moments, especially around aligning the club face, how it looks versus where it's really pointed and how crucial your setup is.
Okay, let's get into it. The source material really jumps into the mechanics, starting with something that might genuinely surprise people.
Yeah, this idea of the misleading appearance of the club face.
Misleading how?
Well, it's like this optical illusion. You look down, face on, and your iron looks perfectly square to the target, right? Seems fine.
Sure.
But the moment you settle into your normal address, lift the toe of the club off the ground, just a bit like you naturally would,
Okay.
that same club face is now actually pointing left of your target.
Left, just from lifting the toe.
Yeah. It's a subtle geometric shift, but it has a big impact.
So our eyes are basically lying to us at address.
In a way, yes. The source uses a pitching wedge as a great example. Higher loft, right?
Yeah, lots of loft.
So when it's correctly aligned at address, it looks even more open than, say, a 7-iron. Visually, it seems way off to the right.
Ah, okay. I can picture that.
And that's the trap. Golfers see that open look, and their immediate instinct is, whoa, that's not square, and they rotate the hands or the club face to make it look square.
And by fixing it
They
visually.
aim left
Yeah.
every time. They've just counteracted the correct alignment because it didn't match their visual expectation.
That feels so backwards, but it makes sense when you explain the geometry.
It does. Think about it from the top down. If you could lay the sole perfectly flat on the ground, sure, the leading edge points at the target,
Okay.
but nobody hits shots like that. You lift the toe, even slightly, as part of a normal setup, and that face immediately rotates closed, towards the left.
So that slightly open appearance is actually the square reality we need.
Precisely. You have to
Hmm.
learn to trust that, look, even though your brain might be screaming that it's aimed right, fighting it, trying to make it look perfectly square face on, just guarantees you'll start the ball left.
Wow. Okay. That alone is a pretty big aha moment.
Yeah.
We need a visual recalibration.
Definitely. Understanding that is step one. It forces you to think beyond just the visual and focus on the actual mechanics of setup.
All right, so if we accept that visual trick, what else does the source say is critical for aiming? It mentions grip size and balance. Seems less direct.
Yeah, that they're fundamental. Think about it if your grip doesn't fit your hands properly, if it's too big or too small. It makes it harder for your hands to sit on the club naturally, neutrally. It forces compensations.
Okay, I follow that. And balance.
Crucial. A proper grip helps you achieve a natural setup, which leads to better balance. And the source really hammers this point home. Your stance width and balance directly impact alignment.
How directly?
Get this, the source claims even a small error in stance width, throwing your balance off slightly,
Uh-huh.
can cause you to aim significantly offline. They actually mentioned potentially up to 60 yards left.
60 yards. Just from stance width being a bit off, that sounds huge.
It is, but it highlights how sensitive alignment is to your base. And what's really cool is the fix.
Yeah.
Often, just correcting your stance width, finding that balance again,
Yeah.
without even changing your hands or the club,
Right.
can bring the club face right back online. It shows how your body's alignment dictates the club's alignment when you're balanced.
So it's not just about pointing the club head. It's the whole system stance, balance, grip.
Exactly. They all work together, or they work against each other, which brings us neatly to posture and hand position.
Okay. How do they fit in?
Well, the ideal, according to the source, is relaxed arms, letting them hang naturally from your shoulders.
Right.
When you do that, the shaft of the club tends to align pretty well with your trail arm, your right arm for a right-hander.
Okay. Natural hang, shaft aligns with the right arm. What's the common mistake here?
Pulling the hands back towards the body, away from that natural hanging position.
Yeah, I could picture people doing that, trying to get closer or maybe feeling more compact.
Maybe. But the source says that pulling the hands back immediately messes with the club face angle. It rotates it open or closed, depending on how you do it, and bingo, you're misaligned again.
So maintaining that natural arm hang in hand position is key to keeping the face square.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a specific method described to find this position consistently.
Walk us through that.
Okay, start by standing tall, good posture.
Yeah.
Then hold the club out in front of you, shaft roughly parallel to the ground.
Got it.
Now, here's the key. Consciously drop your right shoulder slightly. Just let it sag down a bit.
Okay, dropping the right shoulder.
As you do that, allow the club shaft to naturally fall downwards until it aligns with that right forearm. Don't force it, just let gravity and the shoulder drop do the work.
So the shaft aligns with the right arm because of the shoulder drop.
Exactly. Once you have that alignment, only then do you lower the entire unit arms and club straight down towards the ball before you flex your knees.
Ah, so you set the arm-shaft relationship first, then lower, then flex the knees, not the other way around.
Correct. You're letting the club find its spot based on a balanced posture and that natural arm position, not trying to visually place it square after you're already bent over.
That makes sense. It takes the conscious manipulation out of it.
And it helps with ball position, too. When you set up like this, the source suggests the ball position kind of finds itself more naturally relative to your sternum and stance.
Interesting. Okay, let's shift perspective. What does this look like from behind down the target line?
From down the line, that initial phase, standing tall, shaft raised, is important. Then, as you do the right shoulder drop,
Yeah.
you want to maintain the angle of the shaft relative to your spine. So as your shoulder drops and you tilt forward from the hips, the shaft angle stays roughly parallel to your spine angle.
Keeping those angles consistent throughout the setup.
That's what keeps the club face square to the target line during the setup process. And again, the warning is clear. Any independent hand movement, especially pulling them back towards you, destroys that alignment instantly.
Okay. The source also gets specific about foot position and initial hand placement.
It does. For foot position, the guideline is the middle of your right foot, for righties,
Yeah.
pointing roughly through the back edge of the golf ball.
Middle of the trail foot through the back of the ball.
Got it. And then, placing the left hand on the club, the recommendation is to do this while you're still standing tall and relaxed before the major bending or tilting.
Yeah.
Because doing it from that tall, relaxed posture helps you establish that ideal natural shaft angle we talked about right from the start with the lead hand.
And let me guess, resist the urge to pull that left hand back as you complete the setup?
You got it. Pulling that left hand back, even slightly, tends to make the club face aim left again. It all comes back to maintaining that natural hang and structure.
It's like building the setup piece by piece in the right order without forcing anything.
That's a great way to put it. Build it correctly. Maintain the angles.
So we've got the basic structure. How do we refine it, lock it in?
There's a neat little refinement step. Once you're mostly set, slightly raise the club again, just an inch or two.
Okay, lift it slightly.
And then, again, consciously let that right shoulder drop or settle downwards. Just a touch more. It's like a little reset.
What does that achieve?
It helps ensure you haven't introduced tension, and it reestablishes that correct shaft to forearm angle without forcing it. It just lets things settle naturally.
And then as you widen the stance, move your feet into the final playing position.
The key, the source stresses, is maintaining that angle between the club shaft and your left forearm. Don't let it change as you finalize your stance. That locks in the aim.
So the sequence is kind of get roughly set, lift slightly, let the right shoulder settle, drop the club back down, finalize foot position while keeping the left arm shaft angle constant.
Exactly. That sequence, lift, tilt, shoulder, drop, helps set all the body angles correctly, almost automatically.
Okay, what about adding the right hand? That seems like a point where things could go wrong easily. People might grip too tight or try to square the face again.
Oh, absolutely. A very critical point. The source is very clear. Do not add the right hand by pulling the shaft back towards you.
We keep hearing that don't pull the hands back.
Because it instantly changes the face alignment, usually closing it and aiming left. The key is to add the right hand onto the grip while preserving the shaft angle you already established with your left hand, arm structure, and shoulder tilt.
So the right hand just joins the party without changing the club's orientation.
Precisely. It completes the grip, but it doesn't manipulate the aim that you've so carefully built through posture and alignment.
It sounds like the whole process is designed to arrive at a square face without thinking about squaring the face at the end.
That's the essence of it. It boils down to natural hand position, getting the right grip fit so your hands can be natural, and maintaining that relaxed, balanced posture. Let the setup create the aim.
And if you can ingrain those habits, make that setup routine automatic.
Then you eliminate that need to fiddle with the club face over the ball.
Yeah.
You just set up, and you can trust that the club is aimed where you intend it to be, or at least much more consistently.
Which should lead to, better shots, more consistency, better accuracy.
That's the promise. Less manipulation, more hitting your target.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the big takeaways, those aha moments. First, that visual trick. A face that looks square face on is actually aimed left at address.
Right. And conversely, the correctly aimed face, especially with lofted clubs, will look slightly open. You have to trust that look.
Second, the huge impact of balance and stance width. Being off balance can throw your aim way off.
Absolutely. And third, the importance of letting the arms hang naturally and building the setup piece by piece, setting the shaft angle early, maintaining it, not pulling the hands back.
So the key techniques are trust the open look, get your stance balanced, let the club drop naturally from relaxed arms, and the right shoulder tilt.
You nailed it. Focus on the process of the setup, not just the final look of the club head.
This has been incredibly useful. It sheds light on why something seemingly so basic can be so tricky.
It really does.
All right, a final thought for everyone listening to mull over. Next time you're practicing, really try this. Experiment with the feel. Focus on feeling balanced, feeling that natural arm hang, letting the club settle, and accepting that slightly open visual. See how it feels compared to maybe trying to force it square visually.
And pay attention to whether your old visual habits might be fighting against correct mechanical alignment. You might be surprised.
Definitely. And maybe, just maybe, take a peek at other golfers on the range. See if you can spot these tendencies, pulling the hands back, looking visually uncomfortable with an open face. It might just reinforce these ideas for your own game.
Good idea. Observing others can sometimes teach you a lot about your own habits.